Twitless, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about Hyde Street from Ghost Machine by Geoff Johns and Ivan Reis, I think, and a few others who are part of that initiative. Hyde Street is kind of a street of the damned, essentially, where sinful souls go to either be tempted into damnation by very sinister um, guides, essentially, who are also, I think, uh, lost souls. So lost souls tempting other lost souls into damnation. The story kind of starts with a bang, with an old woman being walked across the street by a Boy Scout by the name of Pranky, only to find that this old woman is not who she seems. She is a murderer, and Pranky tempts her into damnation and being run over by steam, a steamroller, essentially. His colleague or rival, it's not entirely clear, Mr. X-Ray, wearing these kind of classic X-Ray specs, is also trying to escape Hyde Street, escape this damnation by collecting a certain number of souls. So we get to see kind of what makes Mr. X-Ray tick in this initial outing of Hyde Street.
So my hot take here is that summary was a lot more clearly ascertained than anything I saw in this first issue. As much as I was in love with the art, it was so impressive, it's so rich. It's drawn by people who are having so much fun with every page, particularly with Mr. Is it Mr. X-Ray? Is that just because I'm seeing it on the cover? Forgetting what the
That's
tall
his
guy.
name. No, that's his name. It's totally Mr. X-Ray.
Yeah, yeah. like, and the coloring is not phoned in, which can sometimes be an issue. Not typically with Image comics, but this one in particular shines really well. But I for the entire issue, I kept being like, I was holding my breath for like, how can you land this narratively? Because I'm loving the pitch, I'm loving the aesthetic, I'm loving I think what you're giving me visually and setup wise in terms of the characters, but I'm not seeing them do anything that I care about. But it could just be a issue one sort of issue. So that was the kind of disconnect. It just felt refreshing. Uh, and my biggest peeve would be like this kind of bland idea that like 1960s capitalism, everybody was just selling trash to children that they were all going to hate and it was going to waste their money. I don't remember that being the narrative about boomers with their toys. I think they loved everything that they bought back then. So,
One thing I like about that, though, is the fact that it is a deep cut to comics Americana. One thing that you don't get, not you, but people that we don't get when we get our trade paperbacks and reprints, not reprints, but yeah, I would say reprints, is we don't get what's called the paratextual experience. So like back in the golden and silver ages, when you see these ads for buy a gun in a comic book, you know what I mean? Some of the ads that Stan Lee had to cut eventually because it was like, what are we selling to the kids? And then in the 60s, they had all of these ads. Anyone who picked up comics from that time remembers the X-ray spec ad, right? These toy glasses that supposedly let you see like X-ray vision, just like Superman did, right? So it deliberately played on the people who were there for superhero comics. And then of course they had the sea monkeys, right? These living things that you order in the mail. And so this comic, in a meta textual way, is specifically channeling not just the greed of 1960s capitalism, but specifically the ads that would show up in your comic books. And we should definitely track one down and put it right on the screen right now so everyone can see what that looked
mm,
like at the time. But like, very common types
kind of
of
redeeming
ads.
that. That's kind of neat.
So
Yeah.
I actually like that this comic was basically channeling old comics, and it's the type of thing that we don't see as often now. There's still ads in comics, and years from now we'll be able to look back and say, "Oh, hey, we were advertising Fortnite now, I guess, or whatever." But back in the day, X-ray specs, all over the place. Sea monkeys definitely. So I actually do kind of like that.
I agree that it had some very interesting references. I don't know how much I liked how they're utilized to basically unfurl a lot of the premise in this book. It starts out, as you mentioned, Matt, where there's an old lady that is judged and killed by this small demon child, I guess you would call it. It's interesting. The two characters, Mr. X-Ray and Pranky, I think was
Cranky.
the
Yeah.
yep.
Hmm.
They seem to be serving some other higher evil power, somebody called the Scorekeeper, and that's the whole idea of them either leading to having their victims find damnation or find salvation based on whether or not they ask for forgiveness prior to their ultimate fate. But the premise is very convoluted is the problem, and it's a long journey to actually get to what is the conflict here, who are the main players, what are the objectives, and it goes down this winding path through a journey into the past of Americana and X-ray glasses sold to kids and lying to them and manipulating their idealistic views and willingness to believe anything that they're told. But it ends in this setup of basically them serving some kind of higher evil and judging other lesser evil people or equally evil people, who knows, to be able
Yeah.
to impress this scorekeeper figure. So it's takes a while to get there.
Let's take a brief pause to hear from the awesome creators joining us today and find out what cool projects they're currently working on.
Hey guys, if you love sword and sandal historical fiction with a healthy dose of ancient Roman and Egyptian fantasy mixed in, then check out Kyrie. We've got 450 pages printed so far, a fourth book on the way. Order your books today at curiecomic.com.
Modern day, classic superhero storytelling. Get The Adventures of Omega Girl, issues 1 through 5, now on Indie Planet.
Thank you to our awesome creators, and now back to the video.
It's
Yeah.
it definitely has issue 1 syndrome a little bit, but I would say that as opposed to other issue 1s, like, some stuff we've even talked about recently where, like Nameless, where you're just like, "What the hell am I reading here?" And it's the fact that you don't know what's going on that makes you maybe wanna read a little more. This one, the pitch of like, with beautiful art, by the way. The way, Mr. X-Way is drawn is very compelling. He looks kind of cool, also, like I said, a little ominous. Um the demon
Mhm.
child is, like I said, the art here is a strong selling point, but just the pitch of this sort of Twilight Zone of Street of the Damned, and the idea that the souls here may find damnation but also could find redemption if they escape our protagonists. That's kind of the implication here, is the fact that the protagonists want them to be damned, but the idea is the fact, because it's teased, that you can in fact get salvation if you don't follow. See, there's a little bit of this kind of Tales of the Crypt kind of idea, I think, being played with as well. EC Comics. So the fact that we're
Mhm.
getting a sort of a modern kind of spin on EC Comics, but it doesn't always have to be dark. You could have it. They teased very, even in this first issue, right, that it's possible someone might escape our grasp, and that gives you a little bit of hope that not every story is just going to be, and then and then he was damned, and then he's damned to hell. So, like, I don't know. This hooked me as a hook issue. It succeeded in making me go, I got to read issue 2. I got to read issue 2.
Well,
I
it,
was
it
so
it had issues though with motivation. Like if somebody isn't damned, then you don't get points on the scoreboard. So why would anybody ever not want to damn the people that they're leading to their demise? And then also the two main protagonists, it's not clear why they're even in this situation. Mr. X-Ray, from what I could tell, only found himself here because he went from wanting to scam people with fake X-ray glasses to selling them little pet monkeys, and the one that he pulled out died by jumping out of a window, and so he ended up in this situation where now he's damned to damn other people for points. And so, like, the premise, I get it, it's interesting. It reminds me of, Running Man a little bit, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, where it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's game show and it's life and death, and there's all these like characteristics that make it a weird spin on some kind of game show type theme. But I just don't get why any of the characters are here and what they're driven by. Why is Mixer X-Ray more moral than the kid? Why does he not want to damn people
Well, the
when both
comic,
of them
it does
want to
give you a
escape?
it gives you some hints. It's clearly like where it's like that pitch for, pilot episode. You're meant to kind of want to tease a little bit, and then you're supposed to discover more as we go. But
Hmm.
the carrot at the end of the stick here for this guy is his daughter, right? Because he get in that flashback that we get of Mr. X-Ray, we see that he has a daughter. We see her running away and him chasing after her. We see her crying. There is this little tinge of fatherly affection he has for her. And then who does he run into? He runs into Pranky. And so, reading between the lines, it may have been Pranky who damned him to further, maybe we don't see it play out, so maybe there's something we'll see in future installments of maybe Mr. X-Ray made the wrong choice with Pranky leading him down that garden path, just like he led that old woman at the beginning, and that's why Mr. X-Ray is stuck. But obviously his motivation is to, I don't know, make some sort of, the daughter is the, I have to save my daughter or something is the, I
Yeah.
guess, the direction.
I did like that, having the daughter in there as a character development point, that he's an absentee father, and so
Mhm.
he has reason to want to redeem himself, and so maybe that's the reason why he wants to find the good in others and the possibility that they may also be redeemed. So redemption is definitely a big theme in this entire book. So I do like that, the idea that people have to seek forgiveness to be able to get out is a really strong narrative point. It's uncommon, I would say, in comics for writers to take this approach when they're, crafting character archetypes and themes that they want to explore. So Hyde Street is definitely taking a new approach to the Twilight Zone twists of condemnation and the supernatural. So, final thoughts, guys. Metzi.
Yeah, it's clearly it's passionately drawn. It's an original, fresh set of ideas, I think, other than, again, like, I'm not quite sure, maybe it feels a little low-hanging fruit to go after capitalism again. Surprise, I mean,
That's
they
never
were
been done before.
yeah, but that's a very minor, that's, I don't even know if that's a complaint. It's just it just happened for one scene, because there's a lot of really rich, fun, interesting, character-rich moments in this, and it doesn't feel, and importantly, it doesn't feel, uh, there's not too many characters. It's not trying to sell you on a whole bunch of lore. It's actually, just straight to the point. Here's a couple interesting characters, and this is how rich we can tell a story with them. And that actually takes, that's a harder thing to do. It's a harder sell, and when it's done well, it's actually a lot more satisfying. And this is doing it well.
Twitless.
Yeah, I just to pick up where Matt left off there. I do agree. I think that because it's staying on one street, as long as it can stay in its lane, ha ha ha. Like it's got a narrower focus and a narrower pitch. Can't say that word. A narrower pitch to it. So yeah, it's not trying to introduce an entire world to us. It's a constrained world, with a couple of main characters, probably be introduced some others here and there, but it's very clear who our leads are. The credits page tells us, little arrows even. It's like a classic comic, in some ways. And here are our two main leads who are going to be playing off of each other. They're condemned souls, damned to condemn other souls. And let's see, but at least one of them wants to redeem himself a little bit. Let's see how this plays out. And so it's like I said, by actually taking a smaller lens on a world, you actually sometimes have more to say with it. And so, like I said, as a pitch for a first issue, I think it's stronger than others that I've seen. So yeah, I was hooked by this. I think this works well, and like I said, it was bolstered by some strong art on top of that. So if as long as they can stay in that lane really well, I think there will be some. I think Hyde Street will have a lot to offer.
Thank you very much for checking out the video. Subscribe, like, and stay tuned for more.